Welcome to Sounds of Brass.
Now, it's over to Peter Webster. In the Sounds of Brass newsroom, for this week's latest Sounds of Brass news.
Of Oxford Silver Band, the COSB has celebrated the retirement of Jane Lambert after more than 40 years of service. Band members came together to honour Jane's contributions as a tenor horn player and instrument coordinator. Joining the band in the late 1970s, Jane's commitment and dedication have been integral to the band's success for the past 4 decades. At the heart of the Lambert family, music inspired her children, Sarah and Paul, to join the band back in 1978. Both went on to become accomplished musicians themselves and played primarily with the training band, but her talents were also lent to the community and contest bands. She was not only a player, but also the manager of the band's instrument inventory, a role crucial for the band's success in providing music to young children and young people in Oxford. Mario Poliwak, chair of the band, said, "Jane was a guardian of all of our instruments. She handed me my first baritone with a clear message. Keep it clean, oil the valves, grease your slides, and loosen the valves before you put it away." That's Jane, practical, passionate, and always looking out for the band. Her influence was not confined to the instrument. She also played a significant part in shaping the band's leadership. In the mid-1980s, Jane, along with Jack Wood, persuaded Catherine to conduct the Beginners Band, a decision that resulted in years of musical growth under Catherine's guidance. The band came together to celebrate Jane's departure with a performance of her favourite pieces, a special cake, and gifts from members past and present. The COSB has a long history tracing back to the 1840s with the formation of the Headington Brass Band. The band is now a registered charity with the goal to advance the education, appreciation and public benefit of the art of music, specifically brass band music, with their motto being Amicitiae per Musicam, or friendship through music. The COSB aims to provide a welcoming environment for everyone, irrespective of age or musical experience. Throughout its existence, the COSB has built a substantial 44-drawer library of brass band music and a large collection of brass instruments for members to use. The band provides young people with the opportunity to play instruments that might otherwise be out of reach, such as the tuba or bass trombone. For more information about the band and its upcoming events, you can visit the City of Oxford Silver Band website. A historic Derbyshire brass band has had to say that they may have to stop the music if they don't find any new players and a conductor to lead them. Ilkeston Brass Band, which has been running under different MDs for more than 100 years, said the appeal was the last desperate call for people to join them. Roseman, the band's secretary, said new recruits are needed for rehearsals for just 2 hours a week, and it could be the difference between survival and silence. If you are that person, if you believe you can be the committed, constant musical director we so desperately need, please get in touch. As well as a musical director, the band is looking for cornet players as well. Miss Norman commented by saying, "Since the long-standing conductor retired 5 years ago, 3 people have held the position but have not stayed long enough to rebuild, which has left the group exhausted from the instability and constant change." The band secretary added by saying they have lost key players to higher section bands, and without urgent support they may soon be forced to sell up and disband completely. At the moment, we have less numbers than we need for a full brass band, and with the lack of musical director, the two issues combined together means we're at a bit of a crisis point. This is why we put out the advert to keep us going. We won't be able to fill the engagement and gigs we regularly get booked for, like Remembrance Sunday. Miss Norman also commented by saying she has been very encouraged so far to the advert's responses and received a lot of support from the brass band community. We've had to suffer of people taking up the musical director position temporarily and interest in taking it up permanently, so it's been really positive. She also added by saying there is a wider problem of brass bands being able to recruit new members. I do think there is less people these days learning to play an instrument. In general, there's less musical tuition in schools, she also commented by saying. There was a lot of music in schools when I grew up, and I don't think it's the same anymore. It's also a big commitment for people, and it can also be a lot of time, energy and money for people to put into learn when you work full time. Miss Norman also commented by saying they also have a training band where people who are learning instruments can join them to hone their skills. A 120-year-old brass band has called for support after it was moved from its home due to the town centre regeneration works. Dinnington Colliery Band near Rotherham is to move from its premises on Constable Lane, where members have rehearsed since 1946, to a former library on Lofton Road. The move is part of Rotherham Council's regeneration project in Dinnington, but band manager Joanne Brooks-Wright commented by saying it could increase running costs in tenfold. She said, at the moment our annual running costs are less than £500, but in the new building that's probably going to jump to nearly £5,000, and I don't know where we're going to get that money from. The move will mean the band can rehearse in a space with its own toilets for the first time, and Miss Brooks-Wright is hoping the new location will also be safer. Where we are at the moment, we have no access to drains, so we have no toilets, she commented by saying. We have massive issues with antisocial behaviour. Even this week, we've had to cancel a rehearsal because of them kicking the door in while we're trying to rehearse. The band's current premises on Constable Lane is being regenerated under the Levelling Up funded Dinnington Regeneration Project. The multi-million-pound scheme is designed to revitalise the high street with a new market, 6 retail units, refurbished shops and improved public spaces. Kevin Fisher, the council's Assistant Director for Property and Facilities Services, said that the move would enable the acquisition of land and property required to facilitate the implementation of the regeneration project. Miss Brooks-Wright commented also by saying she hoped the new location would allow the band to add rehearsals on Sundays and expand the training programme. We have a training band, but at the moment the majority of the people that come either wanted to learn at school but were told, oh, you'll never be any good, you're tone deaf, or people that always fancied trying but never did. She said currently the band has no members under 18 and has to borrow players from other bands to enter competitions, she added. Ideally, there should be at least 28 of us. The biggest struggle we have is trying to get young people to learn to play, but I teach completely free of charge and we loan the instruments free of charge as well. The Colliery Band was started back in 1904 by a group of miners who travelled from Durham to South Yorkshire to sink the mine shaft for the Dinnington Colliery, which closed in 1991. Today the band is run by Miss Brooks-Wright and includes her mother, aunts and sisters. She plays the tenor horn and tuba and said brass bands were good for mental health. There's almost a form of mindfulness, she also added. Brass Bands England has launched a new resource to help bands navigate the sometimes complex area of copyright. The guide, What is Copyright, provides a clear introduction to the key principles of copyright law with a particular focus on how it applies in a musical setting. It covers topics including different types of copyright relevant to music, musical literature, typographical, sound recording and broadcast rights, the rules around photocopying and reproducing sheet music, exceptions to copyright and what fair dealing really means, performance rights, including PRS fees and public performance considerations, and making arrangements of existing music. The new resource has been developed in response to common questions raised by BBE members and aims to provide practical clarity for bands seeking to understand what they can and cannot do when it comes to using copyrighted music. Sarah Bowman, BBE's Chief Operating Officer, commented by saying, "We know this is becoming an area of increasing complexity for our members. Bands want to do the right thing, but the rules feel confusing. This resource breaks down the essentials in plain language so that our members can feel confident in how they use music lawfully and support composers and publishers fairly." In a hope that the resource will give brass bands a greater confidence when planning performances, rehearsals, recordings or educational activity, helping them to avoid unintentional copyright infringements while supporting the wider music ecosystem. This new edition joins other recent resources in BBE's growing member resources library, including a guide to youth voice involving young people in decision making and a webinar on preserving your band's heritage. BBE members can access What is Copyright and the full member resources library by registering or logging into their account at bbe.org.uk. That's bbe.org.uk. After 3 years at the helm of the Kirkintock Band, musical director Hedley Benson has announced his departure. Hedley has enjoyed a very fruitful and creative time with the band and has celebrated many contest successes which have seen Kirky return to the championship section as well as back-to-back wins in the Scottish Challenge. "I've enjoyed working with the band immensely," he commented by saying, "but unfortunately, the bands as a professional trumpet player at the other conducting commitments mean that I no longer have the time to commit due to this fantastic band. During my tenure, we've enjoyed many great musical moments together as well as contest victories, and I'm happy to leave the band in a much stronger and better place. I wish the Kirkintock Band every success in the future." The good news for the band is it has been announced that his successor as resident conductor will be Martin Ramsey. Martin, a former Kirky player and a passionate supporter of the brass band movement, has already made a positive impression during a number of recent rehearsals, and the band is looking forward to continuing its musical development under his leadership. The band wishes to place on record its sincere thanks to Hedley for his passion, his dedication and his leadership. During his tenure, he has been pivotal to the rejuvenation of the band, helping to lay strong foundations for the future. The Kirkintock Band is determined to build on his work and looks forward to the next chapter with optimism and enthusiasm. It is hoped that Hedley will continue to be involved in future projects. Live from the Sounds of Brass newsroom, I'm Peter Webster, and that was your weekly Brass Band Entertainment and Brass Band World News.